Peels with another news Unpeeled, courtesy of 3dprint.com. So today we're going to be talking about a number of news items, and the first thing is a Lego pogo stick. So the Danish Lego toy company, has released a Lego limited edition pogo stick that has been made using 3D printing. It showcases an integrated spring. There's, of course, a nice bit of functionality that we can only get from 3D printing in such a small integrated component. This is the third part that Lego's made with 3D printing. The first one was like a duck with wheels. Now, the first part I was pretty sure was was making use of evolve additive step process, given the surface finish and the way it looked. This one, other people are saying it's polyimide PA12. We're using dimension and using powder bed fusion. Now, I'm pretty sure it's a powder bed fusion part. You can maybe give your opinion yourself, what you think it is. I think it might actually be finished using CIPRES or CIPRES, but probably, if it isn't CIPRES, then the other obvious candidate, of course, is dimension. And I'm pretty sure, actually, looking at the surface finish, looking at this part, it probably is Arkema's PA11. And PA11 also makes a lot of sense because the Arkema PA11 is derived from castor beans, and that could also be a very high quality material. Either way, it could also be PA12, polyamide 12, and then made by someone else. But probably, I think everyone's reasonably certain this is powder bed fusion. So I love this because what Lego is essentially doing is building a 3D printing heritage. They're building up small collections, small limited edition collections. This one's just 500 items, right? And they're getting feedback. So they're not just doing it to sell limited edition to drive up the price or excitement around their brand to kind of get this whole idea of 3D printing being exciting. They're really doing essentially like fan service, like catering to their existing fans, because this pogo stick isn't just a regular Lego item that you can get or buy. What happened is there was a book called The Secret Life of Lego Bricks, which is a crowdsourced book about Lego made by an external kind of publisher. And that, of course, the people that source that book are, of course, diehard Lego fans. And this product, Lego actually collaborated with the authors of the book and the publisher to include this thing. And that's so far been very successful. These are the parts you can see that are for sale at the moment on eBay. And they're going for between $300 $1,600. Now, we don't know if people are actually buying them for this amount of money. And it could just be speculation by the first people that got this unbound book. But generally, this kind of fun thing for collectors and this kind of speculation could be a really good model for other companies to introduce 3D printing to their fans. So they're not just doing limited edition. They're not just trying to get queues in front of stores or something like this. They're really trying to cater to the fans and get feedback and get input from the fans about how excited they are about these parts. And okay, of course, then immediately turning around and selling these things for $300 is that's probably not what they intended to do. But one would expect these prices to a reasonable amount to at least hold up, or at least this be a special brick that could be sold for quite a lot of money in the future, just because it's such a limited edition with only 500 being made. But on the whole, I think we should really take stock about what Lego's doing here, and think that what they're doing is a very, very good way of socializing, of getting their community in touch with, and getting their community kind of familiar with 3D printing in a very nice way of catering to them as well. I think this is a really, really great implementation and a great way of implementing 3D printing on a project basis in a large organization, rather than saying, okay, we're going to switch a certain amount of SKU, or a certain amount of production, we're going to switch all of a sudden to 3D printing. We're kind of like getting used to it, Imagine if this 500 part production run would be delayed. Well, you can always delay the book launch. You can always ask the publisher if it's okay to do this next week. This gives them a space to experiment. It acts like a sandbox, and I love this. The next part is, it's a company called 3D for Makers, and from the Netherlands, has worked with Zymergen, which has recently been bought by Ginkgo Bioworks, and Hexagon, the software slash measurement type company, and Aeon 3D, the high temperature 3D printing company, and together with the Royal Netherlands Navy's Expertise Center for Additive Manufacturing on introducing and testing a new material. This is the Zymergen Z2 Polyimide. What the findings are so far is that it withstood a pull test. The part you see in front of you withstood a pull test of 432 kilograms and showcased extreme isotropy for material extrusion parts. So PI, or polyimide, is a very, very exciting material. This is a material that is an extremely high performance material. We know it already, kind of, because Kapton, which we use as a tape material for a lot of, at least, it used to be used a lot in material extrusion for the beds, that material is also a polyimide. So it's a very high performance, really good, excellent even thermal stability, good chemical resistance, excellent mechanical properties. It's got continuous surface temperatures above 260 C, and it withstands solvents and oils very well. This makes it a really good replacement material for Ultem. Subiec's Ultem, of course, famously is does not withstand jet fuel and other kind of similar compounds very well. The team is working on UL94 V0 and FAR 25.853. So they're looking at FST, they're looking at just general kind of flame, how well this part withstands flames. And yeah, of course, what they're targeting is use aboard aircraft or other kind of high demand applications where you don't want this thing to catch fire or you want it to self-extinguish itself. So great news that apart from Peak and stuff, the guys at 3D for Makers are now offering rather high performance material that complements Peak and PEC and Ultem that we could use for material extrusion. So really good news generally. The next thing is from 3DOS. What is 3DOS? Now that is a operating system for 3D printing that was formerly known that was now using a decentralized blockchain network, right? So what the idea is that you upload a design that gets minted as an NFT, and 3DOS then gets a transaction fee if people purchase it. And later on, you can then, as a 3D printer operator or a company, get a cut if out of manufacturing it. Now, 3DOS was 3D Printer OS formerly, and they've essentially done a pivot towards this. And what they're hoping to do is go from 3D Printer OS was like a cloud 3D printer. Well, actually, first it was like kind of like a tool for managing your 3D prints. Then it became a tool for managing 3D printing in the cloud or 3D printing for like print farms. And now they're doing this 3DOS kind of pivot, which is meant to see them become a decentralized network, decentralized manufacturing network. So peer-to-peer manufacturing, local manufacturing. The company says it invented one of the world's first operating systems for 3D printing that was used in apparently over 120 countries and has been used to produce 2.8 million parts. And it hopes to make manufacturing better, tackle this whole MRO challenge, and to guarantee authenticity and protect the supply chain. Now, the language they're using is just no inventory, decentralized supply chain kind of stuff, and also democratization of manufacturing for people like designers. This is essentially the same vision that Shapeways started with, and also what 3D Hubs was before, decentralized manufacturing network. That was also what 3D Hubs was doing before it pivoted to becoming more of a kind of service bureau oriented, or instead of relying just on makers as the production capacity, it relied on more professional, larger partners. So 3DOS wants to put control over manufacturing in the hands of designers. It says it has 60,000 3D printer OS users worldwide, and it has about 10,000 people that want to join its on-demand manufacturing network, which, by the way, is less than 3D Hubs had it before it pivoted away from this. So this is one thing where 3DOS is now raising money on Start Engine. It describes itself as the next big Silicon Valley innovation beyond 3D printing, and it describes itself as well as pre-revenue and at a $20 million valuation. Now, generally, I'm intensely skeptical about this. So first off, the vision part, the general idea of democratizing manufacturing, allowing designers to upload a design and then making that available worldwide, either for download or printing by decentralized manufacturing. I think we can all agree that that's where we're going to go, right? But that's been the case for many years now. And there have been several startups that have tried to do exactly this, like, democratize design on the one hand, democratize manufacturing and product creation. Companies like Quirky and other companies who try to, in their own way, try to do this. And what we're seeing is that this is a very, very difficult thing to do. It's kind of similar to broadband video, right? At one point, everybody knew that broadband video was going to be the next big thing, right? We all knew that once there was video that was reliable, available everywhere for free, that we would spend a lot of time watching it, right? So YouTube, where we're on right now, Netflix and stuff like that, was already a foregone conclusion. But the execution in trying to get there was very, very difficult. And trying to make the right kind of decisions along that execution is very, very difficult. This is a very execution-focused kind of thing. So I completely agree with the vision. But I think I would like to put a caveat there and saying that it's very, very difficult to get there. And then the other thing is, like, why would you use the blockchain as a technology, right? In this case, because it's very energy-intensive technology, it's unclear what the advantage it would really provide above you using a different type of technology. And why would you also mint NFTs out of these things that designers are making? What's the point of doing that above, getting some kind of other or some kind of actual IP protection for these designers, right? What's the whole idea? What does an NFT do for you besides the hype and the speculation? Why would you do that? Because it doesn't really actually give you any kind of extra IP protection. And it's very unclear what the rights or what rights are conferred on who with this NFT. So super skeptical about this. It's good that someone's going to try and do this again. Eventually, someone's going to make it happen. It's one of these things that someone needs to make happen, because the potential of doing this, truly decentralized local manufacturing and getting designers the world over to 3D print stuff and make it physically available all over the world is great. But again, the proof is in the pudding here. It's going to be about stuff like, how do we rate people on the platform? How do you admit the right people to do the order fulfillment? How do you standardize stuff like packaging? What happens if something's wrong with the design? What happens if something's wrong with the 3D print? How does that rating? How do you deal with customer complaints? It's all of that kind of the mechanics of business that are really going to determine the success. So, intensely skeptical about this for now, but the company's raising money on this thing called Start Engine, and you can look at that if that's of interest to you. Thank you so much for your time today. My name is Roris Peels, and this is another episode of 3D Printing.